Donald Trump
Give it a
will be
try on
processed tomorrow.
YouTube or Kick.
So next, the candidates will have an opportunity to talk about the coming trials of Donald Trump.
See, and this is exactly why Trump wouldn't be here, because, like, why is this even a topic? Now time to talk about the Trump trial. Now here's Trump to talk about the Trump trial.
We have some good producers on the case here. They teased that Trump and the indictments in Fulton County is coming up next.
Oh,
so
the teaser!
That'll be a big moment that everyone's been waiting for.
Oh, everyone's waiting
guys,
for it.
Back, topic 3, abortion. Topic 4, crime, drugs, homelessness. My take is, you know, on abortion, it almost came down to practical versus principle. You had the governors in Haley and DeSantis taking one approach, and the D.C. approach of Pence and Scott saying, no, we want a national ban. Kind of an interesting difference there. And then back to that exchange. It seems that Pence and Vivek have a bit of a thing tonight. That line, I don't know what that slogan means.
Fair.
Certainly,
Pence does not like Vivek.
Like, I'm the experienced guy. You need on-the-job training. Pretty interesting. You can see how the crowd responds
That's
to
fair.
that. Let's go with opposite
Vivek
order
better not let this guy bully him. He's very well spoken, but I see it's really easy to let someone overpower him. And you can't hear what the fuck he's got to say.
I mean, I'll say he's kind of already coming in at a little bit of a different position because of his ethnicity.
You're not going to sign it, that's okay. Or if you don't think there should be a federal ban, it should be in the States, that's okay.
Oh, for sure, and especially when he's talking shit. He's basically talking shit about America right now, talking about, like, I get it, it would be fine coming from any white-looking person, but the fact that he is a brown-looking person espousing those beliefs, it's giving, like, it's giving, like, he's not on America's side vibes. And I could see how people on the right could be like,
Nikki Haley looking pretty good there.
Yeah, I could see how by himself he looks, it sounds one way, but when he's standing around all these other people debating him,
I thought actually Ron DeSantis sounded authoritative.
Well, it's how
I think
Pence
that's what
even
plays
made it
into his
seem.
wheelhouse
He said,
to talk about
what
policy
did he say? He said literally,
and
he
policy
said,
that was put into place in Florida. But now the real challenge starts for
how he
DeSantis and
said his
everybody
shit,
else
like
on that
he
stage.
it was
Now you have
charged.
to
It was
spend the next
racially
segment
charged. I
talking
felt the
about
vibes of like, what do you mean that?
Man, if this shit don't go anywhere, we're gonna have to play some Baldur's Gate.
Well, I think Nikki Haley's answer actually about consensus on abortion
I'm entertained.
was more
you want to
about
play Troy
finding solutions
after
on
you
the things
play
on which we
Tarky for
all
bitter?
agree, like late-term abortion, like access to the health care, to contraception, those kinds of things. I think in part you've got to think about what the majority of Americans think in a general election. That's the issue
laid the fuck
I
out
believe
there. You gotta
affected the 22 midterms. So there's got to be a practicality here. We've got to start where Americans are united.
Yeah, I kind of regret picking the mage though, because the health is weak.
On the other hand, of course,
that's fine. I mean, you get to control another character,
you know, are we really for small government or are we not?
Yeah, we're just all
this
mages,
is about
we'd
the
be getting
states
clapped a little bit.
Versus the power we're willing to give the federal government, because we all have our issues that we care about. Are we willing to give the federal government massive power because we agree with it? Versus when we don't. So that I thought was an excellent element into this. And I would have to agree about DeSantis. Only in that question about crime in big cities did he seem relaxed a little bit, like more into a confident self. And perhaps we'll have more of that. On Trump, you know the way to answer this is to recognize that none of this, frankly, is about Trump. It is about a federal government, an establishment that is out of control, using its power in a blind way to affect
they gotta
political
fill
opponent.
the dead space.
Everyone sees that.
They're all just standing the fuck around.
And that's the way you address this.
They
Trump's
wouldn't
being
just want to show the
supported.
stage.
Like, who the fuck are any of these people to
We're going to
have
hear more about that. I thought Doug Burgum would at least break out, try that in a small town.
I feel like they should have like cut to like
that
little clips of
small town a couple of times.
the
good answer.
people like talking about them because, like you said, we don't really know any of these motherfuckers. So
oomph there. It does feel like
that would
maybe
be
like
nice.
Maybe
Yeah,
like
like
a
a
recap
been
thing.
more of a
Yeah, like a Miss
liability
America
so
thing where
far.
they like,
Just watching
oh,
Vivek
this is this
sort of
bitch, this is what she
be
likes
able
to
get,
do.
you might even call him
know?
cable news answers. He can give the answer he wants to give.
Oh yeah,
without
like
having
actually
to
about the
spend
people.
the
You know, that
wind-up
would be
time
actually
of drawing
pretty
on, well,
nice.
this is what I did as governor, or this is what I
Then
did
you
as
get to
senator, or
learn
this is what I
actually
voted
about the
for.
candidates.
Which I don't know about you guys. Sometimes that just feels like white noise. It's like, no, what are you going to do next?
Or too many
what
Red
happens?
Bulls.
I don't know. Just an interesting observation.
When you haven't led, when you haven't voted,
and that's all we got. Now
it's
we're
really
out of time.
easy to
That's true. That's true.
Be idealistic.
We got to go back to the debate. We'll see you in a second.
Discord for a bit.
Fuck you. Oh, I meant this guy, but yeah.
Have a good game.
But we have a lot to get to in this second hour of this GOP primary debate. Policy discussions the Americans want to hear you all
mentally degrading yourself,
China,
right?
Ukraine, immigration, education.
A lot of that.
Exactly.
But we are going to
it's
take
been
a
kind
brief
of fun
moment
this wipe, though.
and
I
talk
haven't been
about
going
the
nearly
elephant
as hard
not in
as
the
I
room.
regularly do, but yeah.
Former President Trump has been indicted
enjoy the
in
debate.
4 different
We'll be in
states
touch.
on 91 counts. He will be processed tomorrow in Georgia at the Fulton County Jail for charges relating to the 2020 election loss.
You all signed a pledge
Alright,
to
this guy's come
support
back
the
with his
eventual
big cock
Republican
energy.
nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
On kick or...
Kick, yeah.
Stream streams. Oh, here we go.
I don't know.
My stream is entertaining. I noticed on your Discord.
So just to be clear, Governor Christie, you were kind of late to the game there, but you raised your hand?
No, I'm doing this. Look,
You're gonna
I'm doing
suck
this.
my cock too while you're at it?
No. What's the look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now,
what conduct?
And now whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong,
Christy, get your
is beneath the office of President of the United States.
There's some booze. There's some booze. People, they're not liking that.
This is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth.
Yeah, they're not fucking with this. Get your ass. Where's Donald?
Don't you got a goddamn flight to catch to Mexico or some goddamn shit?
It's a fact. And Chris Christie, honest to God,
I think Trump was good, but I don't know if I go that far. I'd have to see what year the 21st century started.
If your entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man.
Spinning his pencil around.
People at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country. They could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC.
The shade.
I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent.
He's the sniper. He's in the shadows working.
Its political opponents. It is wrong. We have to end the weaponization of justice in this country.
30 seconds, Governor.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. 30 seconds, Governor Christie.
You make me laugh because you said
hello? Yeah, they're not having it. Nobody's having it. We ain't having it. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Yeah, no, 30 seconds. You're done. 30, you're done. You're done. We don't want it. We don't want to hear it.
I feel bad. Let him speak.
The more time we spend doing this, the less time they can talk about issues you
want
to talk about.
You shut the fuck up.
Let's just get through this section.
Boo his ass out of here. Boo his ass out of here.
Throw a water bottle.
Throw a fucking bottle.
Law.
Yes.
And law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
Well, it is very true.
That is not
It's very true. I read it. And
there's a difference between bad behavior
You read it. I read it.
And you as a prosecutor should know better.
Yeah, you know what? I know a lot better.
There's a difference between bad behavior.
I know a lot better than you do. You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We stood up for
just because he didn't
order.
try.
I did
How
it
old
as
is
US
this guy?
Attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to
look it up. No,
bow to
Ramaswamy.
anyone when we have a president of the United
He's
States
38,
who
so I mean, he only
disrespects
could
the
just recently
Constitution.
run.
He said.
He couldn't even run in the last election.
He said.
Politicized indictments, and we have to call out the truth.
Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution. Now, the oath you take is to preserve, protect, and defend, not suspend.
Man, if they stole an election from me, I'd probably do the same fucking thing. Boy, I'd be like, they ain't coming in this office. Board this shit up, man. Board that shit up. Get the gun.
All right, so
they ain't coming
President Trump's
in
former vice
this
president is
Oval
on this
Office.
stage tonight. he has faced hecklers on the campaign trail over his actions on January the 6th. On that day, the vice president moved forward with the certification of the election.
Why is your thing 18
So
plus?
do you believe that
big dicks
Mike
only.
Pence did the right thing, Senator Scott? Do you believe he
Maybe
did the right thing?
Don't you think
Absolutely.
that's going to
He did the right thing.
affect the...
Number two.
We're looking for the strippers, Christina.
We should be asking ourselves a bigger question about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. When I'm president, the first thing I'll do is fire Merrick Garland. Second thing I'll do, fire Christopher Wray, because we need Lady Justice to wear a blindfold.
I'm saying I don't know how kick works,
no
but maybe
one has confidence in our justice system.
it won't show your thing is high with the 18
of Republicans have confidence in our Department of Justice. Here's why. We keep seeing not only the weaponization of the Department of Justice against political opponents, but also against parents who show up at school board meetings. They're called, under this DOJ, they're called domestic terrorists.
Firing Christopher Wray,
but that's not
shut down the FBI. Actually have the courage to get it right.
Mr. Ramaswamy, let me finish my comments.
Have the courage to get it right.
Not only that.
Yeah, he's talking over the black man. Oh,
the SWAT team show up at pro-life activist homes.
So, man, look at how colored my skin is.
Because this DOJ uses their power, uses their authority, not just against political opponents, but against conservatives and conservative causes. It is time for a change in America, and I will bring that change to the greatest nation on God's green earth.
We have an important
But Governor DeSantis, do you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th?
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agencies.
But
I will do that.
That's not the question.
I know, but here's the thing. This
fuck.
election is not about January 6th of 2021.
Right,
it's about January
20th
20th of 2025 when the next president is going to take office. I know what the Democrats would like to do. They want to talk about all these other issues, but we've got to focus on your future. We've got to focus on reversing the decline of our country. I learned in the military, I was assigned with U.S. Navy SEALs in Iraq, that you focus on the mission above all else. You can't get distracted. So Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the message that can win in November 2024.
Vice President Pence, what do you think, Vice President?
Is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty. So answer the question.
I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we? Mike did his duty. I got no beef with him. But here's the thing: is
I got
this
no
what we're going to be
beef with
focusing on
I'm relieved.
going forward? The rehashing of this. I'll tell you,
Governor
the
DeSantis,
Democrats would love that, and they will win if we
Governor
let him get away with it. I'm not letting Biden hang out in the basement this time. We're going to run him ragged around this country, and we're going to hold him accountable.
Let me just say, Governor DeSantis, we spent an hour talking about policy. Former President Trump is beating you by 30, 40 points in many polls. So it is a factor in the GOP primary. Governor Hutchinson, you did not raise your hand.
I did not raise my hand because there's an important issue.
He didn't raise his hand, he raised his cock.
And over
that's
a year
that's
ago,
how he got
I
his
said
attention,
that
boy.
Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th.
Another one. They ain't having it.
Conservative legal scholars who says he may be disqualified under the 14th Amendment from being president again as a result of the insurrection. This is something
insurrection. Oh yeah, get this guy out of here.
Under the Constitution.
Is what I'm hearing.
Obviously, I'm not going to support somebody who's been convicted of a serious felony or who is disqualified under our Constitution, and that's consistent with RNC rules.
Exactly.
And I hope everybody will agree with me.
These walls ain't gonna stop this election.
Okay, I'd like to answer.
I've already been in on it.
Build a wall. They built all these walls around me. This shit still didn't keep me this weak ass prison, boy.
Re-ask the question.
Stood for the Constitution.
I don't even remember.
And he
I don't
deserves
remember what
not grudging credit.
They're going over the.
He deserves our
He
thanks
asked
as
the question
Americans
about Trump, but
for
they big cocked
his
him
oath
and
of
never
office
asked it. So I don't
and the
know where we're at
Constitution
now.
of the United States before personal, political, and unfair pressure. And the argument that we need to have in this party before we can move on to the issues that Ron talked about is we have to dispense with the person who said that we need to suspend the Constitution to put forward his political career. Mike Pence said no, and he deserves credit for it.
Okay.
Oh, he brought the crowd back. He brought the crowd back around. All right.
Vice President Pence did the right thing that day or not?
Swing that ass back here, boy.
Vice President Pence did the right thing, and I do think that we need to give him credit for that.
Man, let me hear. What does Vivek have to say about this?
When it comes to whether President Trump should serve or not, I trust the American people. Let them vote. Let them decide. But what they will tell you is that it is time for a new generational conservative leader. We have to look at the fact that 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact that Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way.
Well, 50-50. She likes that. She likes the little zesty in the crowd.
Happy to answer the question. Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. But I want to say, you started off the top of this hour saying we're going to talk about China, Ukraine, education. We are. China is the #1 threat to our country, and every minute that these 8 candidates spend talking about the past instead about the future is time that is just you know who loves it? Biden loves it, but China loves it when we're talking about the past.
Okay. Yeah, move on, boy. Unless you're going to give Vivek a little time.
People say what they wanted to say. And now, indeed, we are moving on to the subject.
The U.S. has committed nearly 77.
Where the fuck?
You did answer on this issue.
You did.
You did answer.
I thought we thought you were done, but you please.
Well, Mike, why don't
you
say
dick
this?
versus big dick.
Making a commitment that on day one
the
you
question.
Donald Trump. I'm the
They're
only
too
candidate
lenient.
on the stage.
Oh, sniper! In the shadows! Coming from the shadow realm! You ain't keeping them quiet.
You
ain't keeping them fucking quiet, boy.
There's a difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a professional politician. That's the difference. Who can answer
Pence will not let this guy talk.
As governor of the state of Indiana, it usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted.
He picked up a few tactics from Trump.
If I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration any pardon request. But if I may, you know, it's not about looking back at January 2021. It's about January 20th, 2017. I put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. I raised my right hand. And I took an oath.
No way we're going to spend this time hearing this right now.
And it ended with a prayer, so help me God. It was a promise that I made to the American people, but I also made it to my Heavenly Father. Every day for 4 years I sought to keep that oath. And everyone on this stage needs to make it clear whether or not they'll do the same if they earn this job and the confidence of the American people. Now look, I've made it clear. I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings.
Let them know.
I would rather they had been resolved by the American people and the American people alone. But no one's above the law, and President Trump is entitled to the presumption of innocence that every American is entitled to, and we will make sure and extend that to him.
And that's not what you're saying before,
deserve to know that the president asked me in his request that I reject or return votes unilaterally, power that no vice president in American history had ever exercised or taken. He asked me to put
you have
the
it.
Constitution.
You have the power.
I chose the Constitution, and I always will. I had no
fuck the Constitution.
Harris will have no right
fuck
to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
Man.
Now we are moving on to other issues.
Boy.
The U.S. has committed nearly $77 billion in aid to the Ukraine war. The administration is now asking Congress for $24 billion more.
And they're going to sign it without even questioning it.
Specifics of that plan. Is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
Man.
We would not support it.
Europe needs to step up.
No way he's the only guy raising his hand right now. No, this is making my stomach hurt.
You would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
You would not
And I think we need
God.
to do, and I think
No
our
way they're
support
going to
should be
drag us
contingent
farther in
on them
World War
doing it.
III.
And I would have support in China to be able to take.
He's licking the finger. He wants it.
And do what we need to do with China.
He's
Mr. Ramaswamy,
checking the
you would
wind.
not support an increase of funding to Ukraine.
Absolutely fucking not.
This is disastrous.
Fuck yeah.
We are protecting
Fuck yeah.
invasion across
Fuck
somebody
yeah.
else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern border here in the United States.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sweet. China's hands. The Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat we face, and I find it offensive that we have professional politicians on the stage that will make a pilgrimage to Kyiv, to their Pope, Zelensky, without doing the same thing for people in Maui or the south side of Chicago or Kensington. I think that we have to put the interests of Americans first, secure our own border instead of somebody else's. And the reality is,
they don't like this. Fuck, they don't deserve any respect. Fuck these these old ass fucking geezers, boomer ass motherfuckers.
And I went to Ukraine because I wanted to see for myself what Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people. And let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena
is propaganda.
Tonight. And
this guy is
that
propaganda.
every
I
one
don't
of
want to
these
hear another
seats was
fucking word
filled.
out this guy's mouth.
And if every one of them was filled, there would still be 2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been abducted, stolen, ripped from their mothers and fathers, and brought back to Russia to be programmed to fight their own families. They have gouged out people's eyes, cut off their ears, and
that's any fucking battle.
People in the back of the head, men, and then gone into those homes and raped the daughters and the wives who were left as widows and orphans. This is the Vladimir Putin. This is the Vladimir Putin who Donald Trump called brilliant and a genius. If we don't stand up against this type of autocratic killing in the world,
what about all the other killing in the world?
You were mentioned.
Governor Haley, we'll come back.
Vice President Pence was mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, let me be clear. Anybody that thinks that we can't solve the problems here in the
Shut the
United
fuck
States
up. Get back in the
and be
kitchen.
the leader of the free world has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth.
That is incorrect.
We can do both, Vivek. We've done both. We've been the leader of the free world and the arsenal of democracy for years. The Reagan Doctrine years ago made it clear. We said, if you're willing to fight the communists on your soil, we'll give you the means to fight them there so our troops don't have to fight them. Vivek, if we do the giveaway that you want to give to Putin to give him his land, it's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border, and frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him.
Well, if that was to happen, then yeah, but it's not happening.
And the Russians back out into Russia.
I want to just briefly address Pence, Vice President Pence. I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990.
Did I say
the real threat? You talked about the communists, and the real communists that we have to address right now
have any idea what Vladimir Putin's aims are?
You already spoke. Now I actually have something to say.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere
You've made
of
your point,
influence.
Vice President.
Vice President Pence.
I'm sorry if I insulted him by calling him a communist. He is a dictator and a murderer, and the United States of America needs to stand against authoritarianism.
Mr. Ramaswamy, 30 seconds. The real threat we face today is communist China, and we are driving Russia further into China's arms. The Russia-China military alliance is the single greatest threat we face. Nobody in either political party is talking about it, and I am the only non-neocon on this stage who will keep us out of war.
Mr. Vice President, we can't hear. Mr. Vice President,
is to give Russia everything they've got.
Mr. Vice President,
give them a promise that Ukraine will never be in NATO.
You don't give a fuck,
and then somehow
man.
China will not think about taking Taiwan. We achieve peace through strength.
Mr. Vice
and
President,
America needs to stand for freedom.
Okay. Here we go.
I think we need to establish some ground rules
when
here,
we
folks.
hear this bell,
yes.
that means your time's done.
You're done.
So, Mr. Vice President, we
Here he is.
appreciate your aggressiveness
You're
here.
done.
30 seconds is 30 seconds. Mr. Ramaswamy, you were mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
So the reality is that today, Ukraine is not
Wait, why are they
a priority for the United States of America.
Because of what he said
and I think
earlier.
that the same people who took us into the Iraq War, the same people who took us into the Vietnam War, you cannot end it. You cannot start another no-win war. And I do not want to get to the point where we're sending our military resources abroad when we could be better using them here at home to protect our own borders, protect the homeland.
All right.
That will be my top priority.
Russia's obviously a problem, but
seconds in the rebut. So I do want to get to some other people
I'd have to
because
hear more
everybody,
on his
we
stance on
respect
Russia
everybody's time here.
specifically
So
and how he
Governor
ended the
Haley,
Ukraine war.
You did not raise your
Because
hand.
it could definitely be ended pretty quickly if someone really put enough effort into it.
You have said of Governor DeSantis that you didn't appreciate it when he initially called it a territorial dispute. Why?
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine.
Are we pro Adolf too? Let me know. Let me know what's going on here.
11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S.
No.
But what's really important is go back to
There's
when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't
The
do
way
that
they're
to
talking,
friends.
it just seems
What
like the
you do instead
only
is you
way
have the backs of your
is
friends.
violence.
Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said,
Yeah, because that's the thing. They're kind of beating around the bush when you say this, but the reality of what she's saying is there's going to be violence to make this happen. We're going to be killing each other. It's
When
just
I was at
violence
the
is
UN,
all she's
the Russian
speaking.
ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
Now, how many countries have we invaded just like how he's getting Ukraine right now?
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis, Governor
Nikki,
DeSantis,
I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
You know, I'm not on
but the fact of the matter,
and you know,
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week,
You want
Nikki.
to go and defund Israel? You want to
Okay,
give
let me
Taiwan
address
to
that.
China?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Go and give
I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false
He's
lies.
he's getting pissed at her too. The hand extended on. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Let me say what I gotta say.
Shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into. I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a client relationship. It is a friendship.
I don't understand who everyone's going
friends
crazy
do?
for.
Friends help
Like,
each
who
other
they cheer
stand
for?
on their
You,
own 2
Beck,
feet. So I will lead Abraham Accords 2.0. I will partner with Israel to make sure Iran never is nuclear armed. But you know what I love about Israel? And I've been there probably in the last 10 years more than most people on this stage. You know what I love about them? I love their border policies. I love their tough on crime policies. I love that they have a
What about Palestine?
and an iron dome to protect their homeland. And so, yes, I want to learn from the friends that we're supporting. And what puzzles me is, I want to learn from those and apply those to protect our homeland, Nikki.
Israel
that is the
needs
answer.
America needs Israel.
Okay, Governor DeSantis, you were mentioned in the territorial dispute. Not only
I could see it's good that everyone's getting under Vivek.
Your first
This chick is
obligation
getting
is
heated
to
as fuck
defend
also.
our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to secure our own border. We have tens of thousands of people who are being killed because, well, we're not handling both. And so I am going to declare it a national emergency. I'm not going to send troops to Ukraine, but I am going to send them to our southern border. When these drug pushers are bringing fentanyl across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to use force.
I'm just not hearing any solution to how we're going to solve this besides just murdering more
We're going
people.
to talk about China.
Okay.
Governor Burgum. China has the biggest navy in the world, the biggest army in the world. Now they have warships off the coast of Alaska. They are threatening Taiwan. In coming years, China will have 1,500 nuclear warheads, it's believed. The U.S. just arrested 2 sailors accused of spying for China within our military. So the question is, how would you deter China as a president, Berger?
Well, this is the #1 issue we're facing. And of course, we haven't been talking about it, and we act like that letting Russia win in the Ukraine is like a gimme as opposed to a gift to China. Russia has become China's gas station. But how would we do it? The Biden administration is a complete fail. China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day, more than any other country in the world. They do not even have all the food they need to feed everybody in that country, so they don't have energy security or food security. But the Biden administration sends Blinken, Yellen over there. They're over there talking. They don't even bring up energy because they're too busy trying to kill the U.S. energy here. And what we need to do is not meetings, not press releases, because something that would send a lot more than a press release is actually Harpoon missiles. We need anti-ship
Harpoon
missiles. Taiwan. The way that you have a war never start, which is the goal, the way you have peace through strength, is that you actually have strength. You actually have deterrence. And what we have in what we've got going on in Ukraine is an example of when deterrence fail. What is an example there of Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, the fact that he green-lighted Putin moving into Ukraine, and then now they see weakness, and when they see weakness, they make a move. And we have to be strong, and we have to be strong both in Ukraine, and we can solve the southern border. Absolutely, we can do that, because guess what? There's only 19,855 authorized people for the Border Patrol, but they're not all staff because the Biden administration doesn't enforce law enforcement. But Biden administration wanted to put 87,000 people in the IRS as opposed to giving the money in this for what we need to our own Border Patrol.
I can never get my mind around that. They want more of my fucking money. They get enough of that.
And I speak about China.
Let's fire the 87,000 IRS agents and hire or double the number of Border Patrol agents. I just left Yuma, Arizona about 2 weeks ago. The most pressing need of the American people from a national security standpoint is our southern border. It has led to the death of 70,000 Americans because of fentanyl, plus 6 million illegal crossings since President Biden has taken office, and 200 people on our national security watch list have been caught at our border. How many have not been caught at our southern border?
They just walk right across with a fucking suitcase set up with a nuke and kill everybody.
For $5 billion more, we could have the military-grade technology to surveil our southern border to stop the flow of fentanyl and save 70,000 Americans a year. That should be the priority of this government, and as the next president of the United States, I will make
there's so many fucking problems. We got all these problems we gotta fucking solve. No wonder this shit's just a fucking mess.
I want to say I couldn't agree more. It's not just the 70,000 from fentanyl. We've lost 200,000 people to overdoses since Biden took office. That's 300 people a day. We're taking mass casualties, and that's a statistic, but these are sons and daughters, nieces and nephews that we're losing. We've got North Dakota troops down there flying night helicopter missions from San Diego to the Gulf Coast trying to stop these transnational criminal organizations. They've got better funding on their side than we've got on our side.
Speaking of which, Governor Hutchinson, images from earlier this month, Governor Hutchinson
with Mexico,
Vice President Pence.
Pence really want to get his full piece. He can't keep his fucking mouth
Vice
shut.
President Pence, it really doesn't help. I'm asking a question. Earlier this month, images showed suspected cartel members crossing into Texas with rifles. Do you consider this an invasion? Would you authorize lethal force along that border?
There would be lethal force used by the Border Patrol, law enforcement as needed to protect the border. Absolutely. When you look at the military has to be used for intelligence gathering purposes.
He's about to
this
fucking
is
go
not
into battle.
unusual.
That's pretty fucking
Whenever
crazy.
I was in the Bush administration, we went
We're
down
worried
there
about
and
school
met
shooters,
with
and
President
I
Vicente
mean, who's to
Fox
stop
of
that guy from
Mexico
running
and
into a
asked his
school?
help and
What the
going
fuck?
after the cartels.
How does that make fucking sense?
And he looked at me and said, they're a problem to us as well. And so we joined together and we took down the Ariana Felix brothers leading the Tijuana cartel. And that made a difference. Ramon was shot and killed, and Ben Amin was captured. Cooperation makes a difference. We cannot be successful going against the cartel unless we bring in Mexico as a partner. We have to use economic pressure to accomplish that. President Obrador has not been helpful, and we have to use economic pressure that this administration is not using. The rule of law has to matter on both sides of it.
Okay.
This is critical. I've done it. We know what needs to be done. The military has to be limited in its use. When after 9/11, we had the global war on terror, and guess what? We protected the border at the same time. You can do both.
Okay, let's go to Governor DeSantis. So as president, would you support sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico to take out fentanyl labs, to take out drug cartel operations? Would you support that kind of American military use?
Yes, and I will do it on day one. Here's the thing. The cartels are killing tens of thousands
Yeah, we definitely
of
be
our
stepping
fellow
on
citizens.
Mexico's toes.
You want to talk about a country
Mexico.
in decline? You have the cartels controlling a lot of part of your southern border. We have to reestablish the rule of law, and we have to defend our people. The President of the United States has got to use all available powers as Commander-in-Chief to protect our country and to protect the people. So when they're coming across, yes, we're going to use lethal force. Yes, we reserve the right to operate. How many more tens of thousands are we going to let to die? I am sick. I've met angel moms throughout this country. I met a lady in Texas named Tracy, and her son took one Percocet that was laced with fentanyl, immediately died. That is happening all across this country because of the poison that they are bringing in. So as president, would I use force? Would I treat them as foreign terrorist organizations? You're darn right I would.
You're darn fucking right.
Vice President Pence,
I had 4 viewers for a while there, but it hopped down
at
to 2.
this issue than Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis on the campaign trail refers to your administration as not finishing the wall.
Right.
Right.
Look, we secured the southern border of the United States of America and reduced illegal immigration and asylum abuse by 90%. When Joe Biden took over, he threw open the southern border of the United States, and the wave of humanity, the wave of fentanyl that's been eloquently described here is a wave of human tragedy across this country. But Martha, you began this evening talking about who is best prepared to be the next president of the United States. And I have to tell you, with all humility, I was there when we negotiated through the government shutdown and got the funding available to build the wall. I was negotiating on Capitol Hill.
For some reason, I've been trying to edit my
I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy on behalf of the President of the United States. And AC, you're so right. It's because we used economic pressure to bring the Mexicans to the table. And